What's up everyone? Welcome to Ashley Talks Movies. Today I'm giving you my review of Terminator Dark Fate, the latest entry in the Terminator franchise. The film is directed by Tim Miller, who of course many of you may know did Deadpool, and it stars Linda Hamilton, yes, Linda Hamilton is back, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Mackenzie Davis, Natalia Reyes, and Gabriel. So I was really looking forward to Dark Fate because I'm a huge fan of the Terminator movies, liked Terminator, loved T-800 Judgment Day, and that's about it. The other films are pretty terrible, so we can just forget about those. So where does Dark Fate fall in the Terminator line? Well, it's not the worst Terminator movie, but it's certainly not the best. Let's get to the review. So Dark Fate is set decades after the events of Judgment Day, where a superhuman soldier from the future is sent back to protect a young woman from a deadly, highly advanced Terminator who is sent to kill her. Sound familiar? So yeah. Dark Fate is essentially a direct follow-up to T-800 Judgment Day, and essentially ignores all the other films that followed it, which I'm fine with, because those movies are pretty terrible. Story-wise, Dark Fate relies a lot on T-800. In fact, it pulls a lot of plot points and story arcs from T-800. It eventually starts to feel like its own thing, and goes in its own direction. But for the most part, Dark Fate does rely heavily on nostalgia. Speaking of the story, it's a bit clunky. In fact, so much of the plot of this movie doesn't quite make sense. And at the beginning, I had a moment where I was like, what? I won't delve into it, because you'll know it when you see it. And also, too, I don't do spoilers here. But yeah, the story is not the strongest part of this film. To me, the strongest part of this film is the action sequences, so if you're here for that, you'll be very, very pleased. There are plenty of fights, plenty of explosions, plenty of over-the-top, ridiculous stunts. Yeah. As I mentioned earlier, Linda Hamilton is back as Sarah Connor, and Arnold Schwarzenegger is back. Both are fine in their roles. They're reprising their roles from the previous Terminator movies, and both are fine. But to me, the standout performance in this film is by far, hands down, Mackenzie Davis, who plays the superhuman soldier cyborg Grace, who's sent back to protect Natalia Reyes' Dani. Mackenzie Davis. First of all, I'm a huge fan of hers. I loved the episode that she was in Black Mirror, San Junipero, and she was in this very, very underrated film, 2018's Tully, that starred Charlize Theron. She's great, and she's great in this movie. She's able to capture so many emotions. She shows vulnerability, and as well as being really strong and playing the protector part. I mean, she eclipses all the other performances in my opinion. So getting to the ending part of this movie, it's very clear that the producers are setting up this film, Dark Fate, to be a launching point for a new series of movies. So I expect if it does well at the box office, we're going to get some more Terminator movies, which I'm all here for. I just want them to be good, because again, I'm a fan of the Terminator movies, just not the ones that come after T-800, because those were terrible. I do think fans will be split on Dark Fate. I think some will love it, and I think some won't. I think the ones who love it will love the new direction this film tries to go, and the ones who don't probably won't like it because the story's a mess, the timelines don't quite make sense, and also it relies too much, as I mentioned before, on T-800. Like, you will have moments of deja vu in this movie if you've seen T-800, because you're like, this is the same story, right? Until it starts to deviate a little bit. But for the most part, you're like, this is the same story. What are we doing? We've been here before. Terminator Dark Fate has its problems. A lot of them, as I previously mentioned. But I think Dark Fate gets enough right that most audiences will sit back and just enjoy the wild, chaotic ride. So that's it for my review. Hit the comment section below. Share your thoughts on Terminator Dark Fate. Please like and share this review. And while you're here, don't forget to subscribe.